Hello and welcome to the second channel for Tales from the Trip. I'm your host, the Trip Keeper, and on today's video, we are going to be reliving my most scariest trip. Now this is a story I wrote, personal experience of my Hawaiian baby wood roast trip, my LSA trip. Now shout out to Papa Panera on Instagram for reminding me of this and how I should upload to Spotify. So I figured, why not make it into a full, second channel video where I read the story and I do commentary. So if you're familiar with the story, you've already read it, you already listened to the video, like, you know what's gonna happen. But if you're new here or you never heard it before, hey, welcome aboard. But if you have, this is just like behind the scenes, because I'm just going to be reading it, and I'll probably be stopping like how I usually do with the stories I read on this channel. So if you're looking for something that's going to be read straight through, that's not what we're going to do here. I mean, you guys should know that by now, but we're going to be like, I'm going to explain, since it was my trip myself, I will be explaining like just, more in depth of what was actually happening during that time. And it was, very, very frightening, the trip, for sure. I definitely do not want to do that again, and I hope to never do it again. But it was definitely a learning experience. I did write the trip report on Adderall before, so that was something, and that ended up being one of the best trip reports ever. So, without further ado, we got our beer here. We're gonna be drinking it. Yeah, who knows? This video probably will not be 50 minutes long like the past couple ones. But hey, not a problem if it is. But I don't think it will be. But we'll see. So yeah, this is one of my very first videos uploaded, and yeah, I haven't changed anything. I've just separated the paragraphs because I had it all in one thing. When you're in Adderall, you just keep going and going and going. You just don't stop. But yeah, this was I separated them and. About the good segments are at, and then I fixed some spelling, I didn't spell anything wrong, but some grammatical errors, I guess, because, if I'm telling other people to do it, I gotta do it myself. But this was like from 2020, I think I wrote this, so yeah. But if you do want to listen to just the trip, go on my main channel and watch the 2 Hawaiian baby wood roast trips, one personal experience. It's literally one of my first videos I've made. Yeah, so if you just want to listen to that, but my voice is just completely different. This one, though, I'm going to be talking, I'm going to be reading it, but I'm also going to be doing commentary. So it's like, which one do you want to listen to if you never listened to it? And if you have already listened to it, like I said, this is going to be like a behind-the-scenes type shit. So it's really could be very interesting for all sides of the spectrum. So let's just get started here. I was 16 at the time of this trip. I was hanging out with my friend, we'll call him Jay, and was planning to hang out with my then girlfriend, we'll call her B. Before going to her house, Jay had recently bought Hawaiian baby wood roast seeds from an online vendor. I've done morning glory seeds before and knew these were much stronger, so I was excited to try it. He crushed up the seeds in a blender. When they were in a powder, he capsuled them up. I really don't like the smell of natural drugs like these, Morning Glory, or Kratom, so I was feeling a little sick smelling it when he put them in capsules. Yeah, just I remember the smell. Oh my god, so fucking nasty. I mean, it was just some of the nastiest shit ever. I've never done deter, never done anything like that, so maybe I don't know how it compares to that, but they're pretty nasty things. And I think we got them on Amazon, if I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was eBay. I think you can still get them on there, being honest with you. So yeah. It is definitely, it's funny how these legal drugs are like even more dangerous than the ones that are labeled as illegal and controlled substances, but these ones are just like, oh yeah, you could do it. But you will not find these in a store. You will not. You'll see morning glory seeds, which I actually do like. I wouldn't recommend it, but I would say if you're gonna do something, just do that instead, because it is just much safer. You just have to do a lot more to feel it. Like with this, you only have to do a couple seeds. It's pretty intense. After they were capsuled, I decided to be super dumb and take 7 capsules. I don't know how many seeds that equates to, but since my trip was the most intense trip ever, I'd say it was a lot. Not knowing that my trip was going to be intense, I still planned on going to my girlfriend's, but about 30 minutes in, I started to get super nauseous and the stomach pains were almost unbearable. I thought I was going to throw up, but I didn't. It took about 25 minutes for the stomach pains to go away, but I was still feeling a little nauseous. We left his house and started to walk to the park that was about a mile to a mile and a half away so I could meet up with my girlfriend B. I was starting to come up a little bit on the way there, like a little fuzzy feeling when you get a little high from weed. We were having just normal guy conversations on the way there. Don't really remember what we said. This was 4 years ago. This was 4 to 5 years ago. We got to the park and the trip started to come on. So at this point, this was about like 9 years ago. Oh my god, dude. COVID really sped everything up. That's fucking insane. So yeah, this was longer than 4 to 5 years ago. But yeah, I remember the nausea that comes along with, with LSA, those flower seeds. I think it's because of the pesticides, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it does cause pretty much extreme nausea. I did not throw up, on either of these, so that was good. But it was an intense stomach pain. It was like someone was taking my insides and ripping them apart. Like it was intense. But once you get over that, it goes away and it'll be fine. I don't know how long it usually takes. I forgot, but maybe I'll say it in the story. But yeah, it is just, that's the one thing you got to worry about with these. Also, I remember what I was going to say before. I just wanted to do this because a lot of people have been asking about like what the worst trip I've ever had. People ask me on Instagram when I do the NGL link or the I ask stories on Instagram, like ask questions. This is one of the questions I always get, like, what's your scariest trip report? And this is for that, so we're going to get into it, and we're already getting started here, but I just wanted to say that because I do get a lot of questions about it, and hopefully this answers some. I'll probably still get more questions about it, but that's okay. That's just the life of a YouTuber, I guess, right? I'd say this was an hour and a half in. Can't really say exactly how long it was, but that's a good guess. Wow, such a good examination of time. We were laying in the grass, and I started to feel the grass be a part of me. And I looked at Jay and saw the grass was shifting and looked really cool around him, so I took a picture. Looking at the picture sober was actually pretty cool too. After waiting there for my girlfriend B for about 25 minutes, the trip started to intensify more. And this is where it started to get bad. Look, it's already started to get bad, and it's only an hour and a half, 2 hours in. So yeah, we're in for a wild ride here. She arrived at the park with her 8-year-old sister and her little friend. I was not expecting them to be there, so I was starting to freak out. When her sister came, she gave me a hug right away, and I felt like such a bad person that I took this drug knowing I had to hang out with my girlfriend. B started to figure out that I was under the influence of something and gave me a bunch of dirty looks. She pulled me aside and asked if I was high. I said no, but she didn't buy it. Yeah, it was literally, oh my god, I felt so bad because her young sister is just like an innocent child, and I'm over here doing psychedelics like a fucking idiot. And then she gave me that hug, and I just felt like my heart sink, But yeah, my girlfriend B, I won't give names. I don't like when people don't use names, but in this case, I have to use it for privacy reasons. So, but yeah, she just gave me the dirtiest looks. I kept on trying to say I'm sorry and stuff, but yeah, it just was not working. She just gave me the dirtiest looks. I'm like, I'm in fucking trouble. I'm a dead man. But yeah. I think I'm just gonna, talk about it after each paragraph that I separated, so that's just how we're gonna roll here. It just feels better that way. I started to feel more nauseous from the drug mixing in with the anxiety and stress I was going through at the moment. Jay went home after we decided to walk back to her house. After he left, I started to apologize to B and just kept on saying I'm sorry over and over again. I told her that I think I need to go home. I said I felt too sick. I called my mom and waited for her in B's garage. I kept on looking down at the ground, trying to avoid contact with anyone there because I didn't want to look suspicious. But this probably made me look more suspicious. My mom finally arrived after what felt like 45 minutes, but probably only took 10 minutes. I apologized one last time to B and said bye to her mom. My mom asked what was wrong, and I said I just feel really sick, like I'm going to throw up. Yeah, I think this is probably the worst I felt. I remember I had a towel over my head the whole time. Well, I'm going to read that in the next paragraph, I think. But yeah, I remember waiting in that garage, dude. That literally felt like an eternity, just sitting there waiting for my mom. Like, please, mom, get here fucking fast now. Because I wasn't driving at the time, poor, didn't get my license. So until I didn't get my license till I was 17. I didn't get a car till I was 18. But that was only because I got a Pell Grant, and I bought it with that money. So that's the only reason I had a car. But I wouldn't have been able to afford one if I didn't get that. So luckily, I was able to find a car for $1,200. It was a clunker, but it worked. But yeah, it was definitely like time just stretched out, and it's gonna get worse. You'll see here, because I skimmed through this. I had to remember, like, okay, this is exactly what I wrote down. But yeah, dude, I just remember how I was just terrified of what the after effects of this was gonna be, and the trip is just starting. Like, oh my god. So yeah, 7 capsules of it. Like, I don't know how much that is. If you crushed up, like, it's not 7 seeds. We're talking about 7 capsules here. Like, it depends. Like, I don't know how many seeds I actually took. But yeah, you do not need a lot. If you did take this drug, you would not need a lot of it. On the way home, I pulled the seat down and laid there and looked at all the trees and the white cloud-covered sky and thought this would be the last time I ever saw a bee, and started to get really sad and paranoid. I put a towel over my head because I was still very much nauseous. When I had it over my head, I started to see trippy visuals. I saw a bunch of shapes and colors on a gray background, like I was in some sort of mechanical factory. Then all the 4 Beatles members' heads were floating in a circle, and I thought that was really cool, but also scary because I'd never been this fucked up before. My mom was concerned and tried to drive me home fast because she can't stand stomach issues and throwing up. Yeah, it was terrible. But like, yeah, the effects, the closed eye visuals were pretty cool. Just seeing the Beatles and the mechanical factory, like, it's just like a bunch of gears spinning. That was the main thing I saw, were gears spinning. It was weird. I don't know why I was seeing that, but I was. At the 2-hour mark, we got back to my home, and I immediately went into my room. Thankfully, my mom went to the store or something for a long time, so I had time to myself to have this trip in my room. First thing I noticed was that my room looked insane. It was very pastel in the room. Everything was super saturated, and it felt like I added a blur effect to it. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the best way I could describe it. I went to lay down because I started freaking out and looked at the time, and it said 6 p.m. I started rolling around in my bed doing barrel rolls over and over again, just saying, "What's up?" repeatedly, and I thought it was so funny. I was doing this for about 5 minutes. Yeah, there's this, when I was on acid one time, same friend, Jay, his mom, I went over his house, and his mom came home, and I was sitting on the couch, and I was tripping major balls, and his mom came in, and she usually like to say, "Yo, what's up, how you doing?" But when I was on acid, it sounded like, "Hey, yo, what's up, what's going on?" So that became an inside joke between our whole friend group, and like that, we just kept saying that after. But little did she know that was from an acid trip, and that's why I think that. And it's just like, yeah, it was just a funny thing. But yeah, I remember doing that in the bed for a long time. I just couldn't stop. I was stuck in a whiz-up time loop, a thought loop, whatever. I don't remember anything other than laying there next and feeling like my body was just bones. I was feeling my skin, and it felt like it was so thin that I could seriously feel all the bones. My legs felt like how a butterball turkey looks with the wings supporting my whole body. I didn't feel like I had any feet. It felt like my legs ended on a nub, and when I was walking around, I felt like I was walking on the sides of my feet, like how when you roll an ankle and your ankle is twisted that far down. But my foot looked normal when I looked down, and my brain went back to thinking I actually had normal feet, and I started walking normal. But as soon as I looked away, it went back to walking like how I was before. Also, the inside of my mouth and teeth felt so off, like my upper teeth were going left and my lower teeth were going right, or vice versa. And this started to freak me out because everything in my body just felt crooked, and it was really scary. Now, this is the number one thing I like to point out with this trip, is that how my body felt crooked, and I think that was actually a really good way to describe it. I felt like I had nubs, but they were bone nubs. They weren't like regular, limb nubs. Like, they were just like actually just it felt like my skin was barely, like, you could see my skin, but it felt like it was so tight, and my bones were just all the way at the edge. It was that one. It was probably felt like that one disorder where you turn into, what is that? It's like the Stone Man disorder or whatever, where you're like, your whole body, just your bones turn into like your whole whatever, your flesh turns into bones and shit, and it's fucking scary, something like that. But yeah, it's always very hard to describe, but that's basically what happened. What I just read there, I can't really go into more detail with it because that's just the best way I could describe it. It's like a very, maybe I can, you know, write down some more of it, but at this moment, that's exactly what I gotta say about it, because that is just, it's so hard to just describe what the hell that was. But yeah, it was weird. I looked in the mirror to make sure this wasn't actually happening, and I looked fine and everything felt normal again. So I went to lay back down in my bed and the crooked feelings came back everywhere, so I panicked again. I looked in the mirror and went back to being fine. I repeated this process about 10 times because I never knew if it was the trip or me actually being crooked. I was having a terrible time at this point. After I was doing that shit for a while, I looked at the clock, and I shit you not, it was only 6:10 p.m., but it felt like all that took at least an hour. So that put me into a bigger trip knowing that time has slowed down. I don't know if time was slow or maybe a glitch happened on my phone. It was super insane. Well, I find it hard to believe that a glitch would happen on the phone, but yeah, it was just like extreme. Like DXM kind of has a time dilation like that. It's just like extreme, you know, it goes super slow. But yeah, it was very freaky. It's just seeing that, it just felt like forever and ever this was going on. And of course, it was like the worst things possible that were happening to me. But yeah, every time I looked in the mirror, you know, I was like, oh wait, no, I am completely normal. But like, yeah, as soon as I looked away, I was just like, it just went straight back to that, you know, crooked feeling, the bones. It just felt like I was walking on bones. That's the best way to describe it. I sent my girlfriend a message saying I'm sorry, and she responded, but I didn't remember what was said. I was too nervous to have a conversation. I was really just trying to isolate myself from everyone. Mostly the same shit was happening to me, and I remember going onto my phone and looking at all the apps. I have an iPhone, so all the apps have very good quality logos, and I was looking at the settings app, and the logo for it was moving. The gears they have for the app were spinning like how they would in a factory or something. I was seeing this before when I had the towel on my head on the way home, but actually looking at it looked pretty cool. Also, every time I closed my eyes, I would see massive visuals of spinny stuff, of all sorts of colors, and it looked pretty sweet. Yeah, just the gear spinning shit, that was like a main theme of my visuals. It was, I would like to know why. Like, is that, like, I'm trying to think, like, maybe that's just my brain working, like how, you know, I'm just thinking of that SpongeBob episode where Patrick's brain starts working, he's got the gears going on, they're finally moving, and he becomes smart. Like, that's what I'm kind of picturing in my head with it right now. But yeah, it's just weird that I was just looking at that, and, you know, the colors, if that was all I experienced and I didn't have to go through the fucking crooked shit, it would have been a great trip. Like, some of this trip was amazing, but, you know, most of it was just completely terrifying, and we haven't even reached the most terrifying part yet. But physically, that was probably the most terrifying. And here's Ozzy. Hi, Ozzy. You want to say hi? Yeah. You want to do some Hawaiian baby wood roast? Yeah. Oh, you're already on it. Oh, boy. You want to tell your story? You want to tell your story? Come on, talk in the mic. All right, Ozzy. Okay, that's gonna be loud. Sorry, people driving cars. Whoa. All right. I'm just gonna get Ozzy off of here. Okay, before I go back to the story, I want to do this before I forget. Shout out to Isaac Pettinger. I said I would shout him out, so there you go, brother. Or is it Pettinger? You know, you get it. Hey, there's a shout out. I just wanted to do that because I was supposed to do that a couple videos ago, and I keep forgetting. So, shout out you. All right, where are we at now? Okay. I heard the landscapers outside my window doing work on the apartment complex, and I could hear everything they were saying, and when I looked outside, they weren't even close to my window, so this drug definitely enhances your senses. I had to pee really bad too, but every time I went to the bathroom, nothing would come out, and I was pushing really hard. Vasoconstriction was taking place, and that is known to happen on this drug, but I didn't know that at the time, so I started to freak out about that. It also made my dick all shriveled up. I saw my body parts were red and purple and panicked about that. I went back into my room having to pee still, but not being able to. That is a huge pain if you didn't know. Yeah, another thing before I might forget this if I don't say it now, I added acid one time. It was during the 2015 NBA Finals. I remember when LeBron first came back, Cleveland. My mom was use bleach on something. But when I walked into the apartment building, not our apartment, the apartment building that we lived in, I could smell the bleach all the way through it. Like it smelled like chlorine, like how you walk into a pool like the YMCA. I smelled that, but like I doubt it smelled like that other than like in the bathroom of the apartment. So that was pretty intense, but it was just overpowering to me. But yeah, the vasoconstriction was scary. My hands turning purple and red, like that was freaking, just not being able to pee. And yeah, my dick is just like George Costanza, man. I was in the pool, you know. That's what happened to me. My dick just shriveled up like a fucking shrimp. It was definitely not for the ladies, I'll tell you that much. Okay, where are we at? I went back on my phone and got caught in the loop of looking at my apps because they look so cool. I think my mom came home around 7:30 p.m. and she didn't come into my room, so I was happy about that. I started doing the same shit of rolling around in my bed saying, "What's up?" feeling like all my body parts were crooked and looking in the mirror to make sure I wasn't crooked and going insane. I wanted this trip to end so bad, but I knew I was only at the peak. I knew my mom was drinking because she started to play music loudly. She played Purple Rain and I kept on hearing the chorus over and over again. Purple rain, purple rain. All I could hear was that. I knew there was more to the song, but the words purple rain kept on repeating. I knew it was me tripping though. Yeah, it just kept going over and over. I know she listened to the song multiple times, but man, it was just, dude, it was just constantly purple rain. Purple rain. It was just, oh my god, that's all I could hear. It was freaking me out. Everything was freaking me out here. Yeah, I did the "what's up" thing again, and yeah, it was just like a huge loop I could not get out of it. And that was like, that was the name of the game. A big thought loop, big just whatever kind of loop. I decided that it might be best for me to shut off the lights so I don't have to look at anything that would scare me. I went on my phone and finally clicked on an app. I pressed Wizard of Oz slots, and this was the most fun I had playing a game on my phone. I loved the movie, so it only made it better. The graphics were really great, and they were all spinning around. I started to smile because I thought this was so beautiful. After about who knows how long, I put my phone down and started thinking of 9/11 conspiracies, and I closed my eyes and saw the Twin Towers falling to the ground. When I reopened my eyes, my mom was right in my face and said, "Are you dead?" I said with probably very dilated pupils, "No," in a very shaky voice, and then she left my room. Terrifying thing to be asked while you're tripping. Are you dead? Like, oh my god, am I? Like, I don't know if I am or not. I think I could be. Ugh. And she would do that to me like all the time. Like I would just normally, just not even on drugs. Like I would just be laying there. And then she'd come up to me if I'm sleeping and I'm not waking up, like, bruh, I'm sleeping. I'm not dead. I'm not dead, Mom. Very big worry wart. Excuse me, but yeah, it was this is where it starts to get pretty insane. Oh yeah, but the Wizard of Oz game was very fun to play. That was a lot of fun I was having. After having a good time with the Wizard of Oz game, it got ruined by my mom when she came in and said that. I went back to being paranoid. This is when the worst part of the trip happened. I was thinking of 9/11 and also a thought crossed my mind saying, "You should hear some voices." I heard that from my own voice in my head, and I shit you not, 1 minute later, I started to hear voices in my head like schizophrenia. They were saying stuff like, "Do it, kill him," over and over again, and this really started to scare me. Yeah, it was fucking so terrifying just hearing that, and it was just, "Do it." And it was kind of like an echo to like, "Do it, do it, do it, kill him, kill him, kill him." It was like that. I was, oh my god, it just kept on going on and on and on. Like, definitely just something you do not want to experience in life, especially because I basically popped up out of my head. Like, my brain told me to listen to voices, and that's what happened. Like, I just pulled that out of my ass, basically, and it happened. So yeah, that was very terrifying. Oh, we're actually almost done with this story. Shit. At first, I thought it was nothing, but it just kept going, and it was getting worse and worse. I covered my ears and was saying, please go away, but the voices kept getting louder and more scary. I was trying to lose focus of the voices by going on YouTube, but when I was watching videos, I could still hear them. There is a video on YouTube that shows a demonstration of what schizophrenic people hear, and that is exactly what I was hearing. I was getting so scared thinking I was going to be like this forever. Yeah, I forgot at what time. I think I think I put on the schizophrenic voices around like in the early AM of that next day. And yeah, I was hearing how they sounded and just hearing that while tripping, while also hearing the voices. Like, I don't know why I subject myself to that, but I did it, and it made it so much worse, and I thought I was never going to come down. It was just completely terrifying. It was for hours that was going on, hours and hours. It just felt never ending, like it was just never going to stop. But yeah. Remember how I said I couldn't pee? Well, after more attempts to go in the bathroom at about 11 p.m. or so, I didn't want to go and stand at the toilet and have the possibility of my mom questioning, so I laid down and was pushing out my pee, and it finally came out after about 9 hours of not peeing. I fucking peed myself. But let me tell you, the relief of that felt so great. It took away from the voices I was hearing. Yeah, at that little moment, I got to relieve myself, but yeah, it was, I remember feeling how great that felt. I did not care. I was in my bed. I did not care about, having to wash it the next day. I did not give a fuck. I'm just glad I went to the bathroom because I had to go. It just was not coming out. And it was just, it's a terrible feeling when you can't go to the bathroom and you're like, sometimes I get, I just heard about this damn thing, but it's like an anxiety while peeing, at stalls, like, well, what's it called? Anxiety peeing. Anxiety can't pee, because it's like you get well, I don't know if this is what I have, but Paruasis shy bladder syndrome finds it difficult or impossible to urinate when other people are around. Yeah, I think I have this because, well, not all the time, but like when I was at the Browns game, I had to go so bad and I couldn't. I was standing there for like 3 minutes and it was not coming out. I was getting so pissed because people were waiting for me. I'm like, bro, I can't go. I'm sorry, but I can't leave because I gotta go. So I went in the stall next, like for women that are listening, you in your urinal, you gotta be around everybody, but when you're in the stall, you be private. So I had to go in there and go. Like, it's stupid why that happens. I fucking hate it. Like, why am I anxious about peeing? It's so fucking stupid. But yeah, that's basically what was happening to me with nobody around, because I had to go really bad still. So all right, I was in panic mode until 5 a.m. The trip felt like it was over because I started to feel normal and didn't feel crooked or anything, but the voices were just super loud and I was on the verge of tears since I thought the trip was over and didn't know why the voices stayed. My dumbass started watching videos on people with schizophrenia, and this only further progressed my paranoia. Somehow, after a miracle, I felt tired and went to bed around 6 a.m. I was supposed to go to school, but how could I? So my mom let me stay home. When I woke up, I was so relieved that the voices were gone. I still felt high from the trip, but I'm so glad I had a day to recover. Okay, so I did talk about it. Yeah, that was probably the last shebang of how bad the voices were, just listening to that video, watching it. But yeah, when I finally got tired, dude, that was amazing. Just feeling like you could just release it, because I knew once I went to bed it was gonna be over. And then I remember I was also like I was like covering my ears too, trying to get the voices out, and that was just like it did not work, of course, but I thought it was working for a little bit. I'm like, la 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 la. I look like an insane person. If someone had a camera on me in that bedroom while I was in there, you saw me going, what's up, looking at my damn self in the mirror, walking like a crooked man, going la 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 la, just like moving around in a circle. Like, man, that's what a freaking psych ward like extreme mental patient looks like, when they're in the straitjacket and stuff. That's what they look like in a padded room. That was me, basically. Ooh, that would be a good story for it. Like something in a padded room. That would be a good name for this title. I don't know. Put in the comments what you think. Put padded room in the title, like maybe a pseudo padded room or something. I don't know. Make a title out of this story, and I want to hear it. Give me your best ones. I want to hear it, but not like a joke one, like for the title's not like the absolute horror of Hawaiian Baby Wood Rose. Like do something real, like what a story would be called. I mean, you could do that too if you want to. I'm not going to care, but I want to hear what you guys have to say, because maybe it could be a good one. I can use it and name it this file, because I just have an HB Woodrow story on my drive. So yeah. All right, I got one more paragraph left here, so we're gonna be wrapping up here pretty soon. But yeah, going to school the next day, I was still kind of screwed up, but I felt kind of nice. And yeah, that's about it. The worst trip of my life. I do not recommend taking these seeds at all. If you do, only take 1 to 3 because if you do, only take 1 to 3 because I don't want anyone to experience what I went through. I do not condone the use of these seeds. I created this report to inform everyone on the dangers of what Hawaiian Baby Wood Rose can bring to you. Yeah. Definitely the most intense trip of my life. I'd say the shroom trip was pretty close to it, and that one Benadryl experience I had, but that wasn't a trip per se. People want to call it Benadryl trips, but it's just like you're in psychosis, bro. This could have been psychosis too, a little bit, honestly. But you don't want to just throw that label around. But hey, maybe if it was, it was. But yeah, I really like. I don't even want people doing a small dose of this. Like, it's just like I don't want them to go through what I went through, and it's a terrifying thing to go through at that point. It's just like I was not prepared for that to happen. I did not. All I knew before the trip was that it was going to be stronger than Morning Glory, and I was going to have a good time. And yeah, it was a lot stronger than Morning Glory, and I had somewhat of a good time, but most of it was terrible. Yeah, I'd say the schizophrenia was definitely the worst part because it lasted the longest. But I guess once I did that, the fucking crookedness of my body went away. But that's number 2. That was definitely terrifying. And then my girlfriend and her little sister, that was scary. There's 3 aspects of this trip: the come up, the peak, and then the come down. Sort of, not really, the come down schizophrenia. But yeah, that was I just wanted to do that video. I thought it was a good idea to do it because like, again, shout out to Papa Panera. Did he respond to my text? Let's see here. Okay, so it is pronounced Panera. Thank you so much. I'm gonna text him right now. I'm literally texting you while recording, and then that's gonna be funny. Yeah, that's funny. All right. Have a good one, guys. We'll be back again soon. I don't know when. We're gonna do a DXM story on the main channel. Actually, it was actually a really good one. Someone just uploaded one. It's very interesting, and I'm glad I got to read it. So look for that on like Wednesday, I think. Clearly, I'm doing a lot more videos on this channel because it's the stresslessness of it is just a lot nicer. The main channel, I actually got to like work hard to get it done, but this, like a therapy session basically. But yeah, it's nice. I do love having this channel. I like how you guys support it and watch it, and it's going up and up and up, and it's helping me on Spotify too. So yeah, watch me on Spotify, watch me on here, watch me on the main channel, do whatever you want. Follow me on Instagram. You don't have to. I don't care. You don't have to like this video. I'm not gonna be one of those people that tell you to like it, subscribe. I don't care. Just if you enjoyed it, I'm glad. If you didn't, I'm glad.